Hello and welcome to Mouse in the Mitten Trivia Pod, a podcast where you can test your Disney trivia knowledge over a variety of topics. My name's Court and I will be your host. Our game will consist of 5 rounds of 6 questions covering everything from your basic Disney knowledge to some unknown facts. Each question is worth 1 point unless otherwise noted. Make sure you follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Mouse in the Mitten. And if you're watching us over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know in the comments down below what your score was. Now, there's always new things going on at Disney, always changes. We just saw Big Thunder Mountain get closed down for refurbishments in Disney World. If you're looking for someone to help you navigate those waters, I would love to help you get all taken care of. All you got to do is email me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. We get you all taken care of. Now, today we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of really cool things going on in today's game, and we're going to start round 1 by talking about one of my all-time favorite rides, and that is Star Tours, a classic ride that is celebrating an anniversary this week. So we're going to honor the great ride that is Star Tours and all the fun that comes along with it. So let's get started here with question number 1. Within 2, what year did the original Star Tours open in Disneyland? Question number 2. Name either of the international parks that has Star Tours. Question number 3. Opening on May 20, 2011, what park was the first one to get the new upgrade to Star Tours, The Adventure Continues? Question number 4. Every ride has one person who is selected to be what kind of character? Question number 5. Everyone experiences 4 different experiences while on the ride. How many different segments are there to experience? And question number 6. What is the name of the ship that you ride on in Star Tours? All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. All right, let's get you some answers here on Star Tours. So question number 1. Within 2, what year did the original Star Tours open in Disneyland? Well, it opened on January 9th, 1987. So in order to get the point there, what I had to say between 1985 and 1989. And yes, the one in MGM Studios did follow shortly thereafter. And of course, a great ride ever since. Question number 2. Name either of the international parks that has Star Tours. In order to get the point there, what I had to say either Tokyo Disneyland or Disneyland Paris. Those 2 parks do have their version of Star Tours as well. It's a little bit different, obviously, as all the Star Tours are a little bit different, but they are still a ton of fun. Question number 3. Opening on May 20, 2011, what park was the first one to get the new upgrade to Star Tours, The Adventure Continues? Well, that is Hollywood Studios. So Disneyland had the OG. Hollywood Studios was the first one to have the new one, but it only beat Disneyland by about 2-3 weeks because on June 3rd of that same year, that's when Disneyland's version opened. So it only beat it by a couple weeks, but technically the Hollywood Studios one opened before the Disneyland one. Question number 4. Every ride has one person who was selected to be what kind of character? That is a rebel spy. They put your picture up there on the screen. Everyone looks at you. Just hope it's the person next to you and not actually you. Now, I have heard there are some tips and tricks on how to get picked versus how not to get picked. It's usually just completely 100% random. The biggest thing is don't have your face covered. If you have your face covered, they won't use you, but it's whoever they can usually get the best picture of as well. Question number 5. Everyone experiences 4 different experiences while on the ride. How many different segments are there to experience? Well, there are 26 different segments that they really make random, and you don't know which 4 you're going to get. That means that there are 1,500 plus combinations that you can get while riding on Star Tours. And like I said, it is completely random, and that's what makes this ride so much fun. You can ride this ride over and over and over again, and it's always going to be a little bit different. Last but not least, question number 6. What is the name of the ship that you ride on in Star Tours? Well, that is the Star Speeder 1000, and that's the ship that we board. That's the one that we ride on while we're going through our adventure. So again, a fantastic ride, and because of this, we have all of Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and in Hollywood Studios. So it's a fantastic ride, and just the beginning of what would turn out to be a fantastic relationship between Star Wars and Disney. Continuing on now into round number 2. Round number 2 is our fast facts. This round is filled with simple questions that have simple answers. Today's category is Space Mountain. So the way this round is going to work is I'm going to say a Disney park. You just have to give me an answer of yes, this has a Space Mountain, or no, this one does not have a Space Mountain. Now this goes hand in hand with the anniversary of Space Mountain opening up as well, but today is just a simple yes, no. So let's get started with question number 1. Magic Kingdom in Disney World. Question number 2. Disneyland. Question number 3. Disneyland Paris. Question number 4. Tokyo Disneyland. Question number 5. Shanghai Disneyland. And question number 6. Hong Kong Disneyland. So yeah, Space Mountain, a classic ride, of course, a ton of fun as well. So let's get started here with question number 1. It's simple 50-50 today, so hopefully you're able to get it. So question number 1. Magic Kingdom, that is a yes. That is, of course, the original location of Space Mountain, and that's where it was originally open. Question number 2. Disneyland, that is of course a yes as well. Now, a little bit different of a setup in Magic Kingdom. In Disney World, you're 1 by 1. In Disneyland, you have traditional 2 by 2 on those rocket ships. Now, originally when Walt did build Disneyland and came up with the schematics for Disney World and Magic Kingdom, there was always some sort of building there. This is what eventually became Space Mountain. Question number 3. Disneyland Paris, that one is a yes. Technically, that is a hyperspace mountain, but this one is a little bit different. This one was the first one to have an inversion in it, and it was also the first one that had a launch to it, because originally this was modeled after a story about being launched to the moon, but now they have named it to Hyperspace Mountain. Still has that loop, still has that launch, which inspired Tron. So yes, Tron is the next iteration of Space Mountain, if you were not aware. Question number 4. Tokyo Disneyland, that one is a yes. And again, the classic ride, it is modeled very similarly to the one in Magic Kingdom. Question number 5. Shanghai Disneyland, that one is a no. They do not have a Space Mountain. So that leads us into question number 6. Hong Kong Disneyland, that one is a yes, and that is again another hyperspace mountain. So yeah, Shanghai is the only park that does not have a space mountain. Will that change? Time will tell. Shanghai is a newer park, so time will tell on that one. But again, Space Mountain, another classic Disney ride that is a ton of fun. Continuing on now into round number 3. Round number 3 is our connecting the circles. The way this round will work is I will ask you 5 questions that may or may not be Disney related, but the answers do relate somehow through Disney. And that's going to be your 6th and final question of what is that Disney connection. So let's get started here with question number 1. When someone flies from New York City to London, they often call the flight what 13-letter word? Question number 2. Ford Field, Soldier Field, Yankee Stadium, SoFi Stadium, and the Superdome are all examples of what? Question number 3. What is a form of communication by which a wavelength is sent out and you hear the voices come out from a receiver on the other end? Question number 4. What invention is the reason why we no longer have outhouses as the primary bathroom? Question number 5. What is a device used that typically has settings ranging from 1 to 4 and can also oscillate back and forth? And question number 6 is, what is that connection? I will give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with that connection, and then I will return. All right, let's see if we can connect those circles. So question number 1. When someone flies from New York City to London, they often call the flight what 13-letter word? That is transatlantic. They oftentimes say when you fly from New York to LA or from New York to London or back, they oftentimes say that you are taking a transatlantic flight because you are flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Question number 2. Ford Field, Soldier Field, Yankee Stadium, SoFi Stadium, and the Superdome are all examples of what? They are all examples of sports stadiums. Now, there are a ton more that I could have included with this one, but these were some ones that are pretty, hopefully we're able to kind of give that one away. Now, obviously they're used for a lot more than sports these days, but their primary purpose is to house sporting events. Question number 3. What is a form of communication by which a wavelength is sent out and you hear the voices come out of the receiver on the other end? That is radio. Oftentimes, they have these big satellites and they send out signals and you hear them in your car, on little handheld radios. Nowadays, everything's obviously digital, so it's a little bit different, but it's definitely a very old way of communication and spreading information. Question number 4. What invention is the reason why we no longer have outhouses as the primary bathrooms? That is indoor plumbing, and thank goodness for that. It is bitterly cold here in Michigan, so having to go to an outhouse would be just not a lot of fun. So thank you, indoor plumbing, for allowing us to go to the bathroom inside where it's much warmer. Question number 5. What is a device used that typically has settings ranging from 1 to 4 and can also oscillate back and forth? Well, that is an electric fan. Obviously, hopefully, maybe the settings 1 through 4 didn't help you, but the oscillating part, obviously fans oftentimes will oscillate back and forth. That is an electric fan. So last but not least, question number 6 is, what is the connection? Well, we had answers such as transatlantic, sports stadiums, radio, indoor plumbing, and electric fan. The connection there, those are all inventions that are talked about in Act 2 of the Carousel of Progress. So if you've ever seen the Carousel of Progress, which if you haven't, go to Disney World, and when it's really hot, go there and take a nap, because it's a great place to take a nap. It is a fantastic show. It is so much fun, and you learn so much about history, and they always talk about the inventions. This is the second act, so this is the 1920s, right around there, and talking about all these inventions that have come about. Now, one of the reasons why I love the Carousel of Progress, it is one of the few rides that we know distinctly that Walt was in, or Walt was part of. We have video footage of him in that Carousel of Progress. Now, we have some video footage of Small World and Pirates, but we don't know which one specifically, if it's involved with the one that's in Disneyland that was at the World's Fair, or the one that is in Disney World or Disneyland. We know without a shadow of a doubt that Carousel of Progress, we have images of Walt in that exact Carousel of Progress. So it's something that's really cool, and that's one of the reasons why I always love going there, is just a little bit of nostalgia, knowing that we are literally in a place that at one point or another, Walt was definitely there. But it is a ton of fun. Plus, you get a song that's stuck in your head for the rest of the day, just like any other Sherman Brothers song. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Continuing on now to round number 4. Round number 4 is typically reserved for our movie anniversaries. And today we're going to talk about Iron Will. Now, a classic movie from the 90s. It is pure Disney 90s nostalgia. It is a ton of fun and always, it gets me a little weepy every once in a while. So let's get started here with question number 1. What sport is featured in the movie Iron Will? Question number 2. Name the House of Cards and Bugs Life actor who plays reporter Harry Kingsley, whom later in the movie came up with the name Iron Will. Question number 3. What state is the location of the start of the movie and is best known for its carvings of 4 presidents? Question number 4. What happened to Will's dad at the start of the movie? Question number 5. Name the dog that gives Will the biggest issue throughout the movie. And question number 6. Name the year Iron Will is set. All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with those answers, and then I will return. All right, let's get you some answers here on Iron Will. So question number 1. What sport is featured in the movie Iron Will? That is dog sled racing. Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why I was so big into this movie was shortly after this movie came out, we did a big thing on the Iditarod. So like dog sled racing plus, puppies, always a good thing when you have puppies. So I got really kind of into it, but it's just overall a good movie as well. I mean, again, classic 90s Disney nostalgia. Question number 2. Name the House of Cards and Bugs Life actor who plays the role of reporter Harry Kingsley, whom later in the movie came up with the name Iron Will. That is Kevin Spacey. One of the joys of rewatching movies from when we were younger is seeing some of these actors and seeing where they've come since then. There are a couple of medium-sized names, but definitely when I rewatched Iron Will, it was when House of Cards was like at the peak before everything happened with Kevin Spacey. And it was just one of those things where like, oh, hey, look, I know him. I recognize him. Obviously at the time, didn't think big deal. Now, moderately big deal. So something that's kind of cool as well. Question number 3. What state is the location of the start of the movie and is best known for its carvings of 4 presidents? That is South Dakota. So just to give you a synopsis here. Iron Will and Will himself, he lives in a small town in South Dakota. He is a mail delivery guy and he's in high school, gets a letter that he is accepted into college and he has to try to figure out how to pay for college. What happens in the next question kind of spurs him to do this race to try to get money for college, and ultimately, spoiler alert, he ends up winning the race. Question number 4. So what happens to Will's dad at the start of the movie? Well, he drowns. So they are on a run together. Both Will and his dad are on a run together to deliver logs. And for some reason, his dad's sled flips over. He gets caught underneath the ice and he ultimately drowns. But the dogs were the ones that survived that. And those are the dogs that Will takes with him to run this race. Question number 5. Name the dog that gives Will the biggest issue throughout the movie. Well, that is Gus. So Gus is the lead dog for his dad's crew. And if you know anything about sled dogs, they're very territorial. Also, they love their owners unconditionally, but are very skittish about anyone else. Apparently, this came true in the form of Gus and Will. They didn't always get along. Now, a simple whistle, allowed them to kind of understand each other, be able to potentially build that bond and eventually win. Last but not least, question number 6. Name the year Iron Will is set. Well, it is set in 1917. So this race does predate the Iditarod, but the race that is featured is in Canada and still ran today. It's not as big, it's not as long as the Iditarod, not as prestigious, but it is a dog race that is still ran to this day. So it's something that's, again, it's a really cool movie. It's 90s nostalgia. It's a fun one, and it's available on Disney Plus. So if you get a chance, you want to see some dogs and some sled racing, that is a great spot to start. Wrapping up today's game, round number 5 is going to be titled Who Am I? Instead of questions for this round, I'm going to give you clues as to who this person is. If you can name the person after the first clue, you get 6 points. After the second clue, you get 5, so on and so forth. The goal is to try to get it in as few of clues as possible. So let's get started here with clue number 1. I was born on January 16th, 1980 in New York City. Clue number 2. My cousin plays baseball for the Minnesota Twins. Clue number 3. I attended Wesleyan University in Connecticut. Question number 4. My father moved to New York when he was 18 and has done a lot in the political spectrum since. Question number 5. My awards include 5 Grammys, 3 Tonys, 2 Emmys, and a Pulitzer Prize. I've been nominated for 2 Oscars, but I'm yet to win one. And clue number 6. While I am known for my work on Mary Poppins Returns, Moana, and Encanto, I might best be known for creating Hamilton. All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds worth of music, try to come up with that answer, and then I will return. All right, let's figure out who this person is. So obviously, birthday is this week, hence the reason why we had to use this question. Cousin plays for the Minnesota Twins, went to Wesleyan. Dad came to New York when he turned 18. He actually got a scholarship to NYU and has done a lot in the political spectrum since then. He is an Oscar away from an EGOT, though he does have a Pulitzer Prize, and he's known for writing the music for Mary Poppins Returns, Moana, and Encanto, but is best known for Hamilton. Who are we talking about here? Of course, we're talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda. So happy birthday to Lin-Manuel Miranda. I doubt he's going to hear this or see this, but hey, shout out to him and all the things that he's created. He's done a lot of really good things, and the fact that he's linked to Disney now is just fantastic. Now, after the success of Wicked, he has mentioned that if someone can figure out a good way to do Hamilton, then he would be on board with it. The problem that we're seeing, like Wicked, there's actually spoken dialogue. In Hamilton, there's not a ton of that, so it'd be very difficult. I can see why it'd be very difficult to do a theatrical performance on this big screen of Hamilton, though if it ever comes out, I'm first in line to go and watch it. It is so much fun and so cool, and he is just a creative genius, and to see and hear the things that come out of Lin-Manuel's brain and his creative process, it is nuts. So again, happy birthday to him. I look forward to seeing much more things come out of that genius mind of his and to see where it goes. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in this week. I will return next week with more questions and more fun. Make sure you follow us on social media at Mouse in the Mitten on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're watching us over on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and let us know in the comments down below what your score is. If you're listening to us on the podcast, hopefully you're following us on Apple Podcasts. If Apple isn't your thing, make sure you download us wherever you can and leave us a 5-star review. Now, there's a lot of things that go into the Disney trip process and making sure that everything goes smoothly so you have the most magical vacation you could possibly have. I would love to help you get everything all taken care of and all set up. All you got to do is email me at mouseinthemitten@gmail.com. We'll get you all taken care of. Well, hey, my name's Court. The dog's name is Milo. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you next time.